Okay, it's really cool to be here tonight. Thank you, council, for having us. It's been a while since I've been to a council meeting. Honored to be here with our team this year. I'd like to introduce them. First of all, my niece, Annie Winton, Angelina Rice, who did a great job leading the pledge, Ali Sacados, Marisol Padilla, senior, April Fuentes, a junior, Melanie Aguilar, and my assistant coach, Jordan Garcia. A little bit about our season. Didn't know I was going to talk a whole lot, but a little bit about our season and our program. We kind of got the program started again and kind of rejuvenated it 10 years ago. And funny enough, Coach Garcia was on that first year's group, and we kind of started playing okay and fell into the playoffs that year, and started to kind of build a program and something that the girls could really get behind. And it went from kind of like Livingston High School has girls golf to Livingston High School has girls golf. And we've made the divisionals, which is the Division 4 playoffs every year for the past 10 years. We finished second in 8 of those 10 years. We lost out to that private school in Modesto that has a bunch of country club girls. But we, even in those years, we proclaimed ourselves the WAC Public School Champions. So while we won it back-to-back years, we were the WAC Public School Champions for a couple years before that. Coming into the year, we were real excited about what we had. We kind of knew that we would have a good chance to win it 2 years ago. We had a very solid 2015 season and had our whole team back, and so we really blew through that year undefeated, had a great time, and it was all fun. And then this year was like, oh wow, we lost 3 of our really good golfers and we're going to replace them. We had 3 really good golfers coming back. And we're very fortunate. We're one of the only league teams or teams around here to have a development team or a JV team. So we were able to call on 4 of those girls to come up and join us. But we really didn't know, what we had, and they had never gone through a full season before, and they continued to get better. And they just made our school and our community and our town proud all the time. And that's why we go out there and play. We talk about that all the time. The main thing, we go out there and just want to have a good time, want to play hard, want to uphold the rules of golf and be honorable and be truthful. And I couldn't be more proud of a group than this year. To do it the first year was great, but to do it coming back the next year was probably even more rewarding because it was a little bit more unexpected. So we go into it, we play a lot of golf. We take it serious when we're out there. But before we leave the van every day, before we have a match, I tell the girls, just remember the most important thing is not birdies, it's not pars, it's not this, it's not that. The most important thing is what?
Have fun.
Have fun. That's the key. We go out, we have fun, we're successful, you get great kids like this. It makes it a great program. So again, thank you for having us tonight. We really appreciate it. It's great to be here. I don't know if you guys had any questions or anything. Feel free. If not, then just thanks for having us.
Thank you, Coach Winton, and the City of Livingston is proud of you also. Thank you for, going out and doing what you do. And, you are the champs of WAC, so we appreciate, and, just like Coach said, you go out and you have fun, and I've said this many times before, great kids make a great community, and you represent that here at Livingston. So do you have any questions, Council?
Go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem first?
No.
Seniority goes first. No, I just want to say thanks. Great job, girls. Coaching staff, obviously we have to thank you for all the hard work you guys put on with the girls as well, and the kids. Thank you. Great job. Look forward for a great next season too. So, good job, girls.
We do too. 2 is good, 3 is better.
Yes.
I just want to say congratulations, and all right, Livingston is a golfing town. That's awesome.
Just the same thing. Congratulations for representing Livingston. Good job. And the City of Livingston's very proud of you guys.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to echo what the rest of the council said. You guys make us very proud to get Livingston out there and say, here's our kids. These are our folks who are doing it. You guys are future leaders. Thank you very much, and keep it up.
Thank you. Absolutely. One other thing I didn't mention is that not only are they great golfers and great kids, but I was going through their transcripts the other day, and I think we have, for quarter grades and semester grades coming up, they all have 6, some have 7 classes. I think we have 4 C's, like 8 B's, and the rest are all A's. So not only are they killing it on the golf course, they are absolutely killing it in the classroom. Absolutely killing it. So nice job.
I am so proud of all of you, and I just want to shake your hand because you're making this community, this area, this district so proud. And always remember, dream big, okay? And always believe in yourself, okay? Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the public? If I could have you guys come up front, we have, the city has a token for your championship. Come on up, champs. See if we can get this in the Chronicle, Merced Sun Star. I thank you. We have some watches that has the city logo, so each one of you will get a watch. So thank you again for contributing and representing Livingston, and good job with your grades. There's All right, thanks again, ladies. Thank you, coaches, for coaching these young ladies and representing Livingston here in Merced County. And next, we'll move on to item number 1. We have Patrick Pittenger, did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, Pittenger.
Pittenger, Executive Director of MCAG, and Mr. Matt Fell, Senior Planner, will present an update on the Regional Transportation Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Patrick Pittenger. I'm the Executive Director of the Merced County Association of Governments, and that's a tough act to follow right there, but we'll do our best. Just a little overview, Merced County Association of Governments is an organization comprised of the 6 cities and the county of Merced, and we have a governing board of 11 members, including 1 member from each of the 6 cities and the entire county board. Mr. Alex McCabe is one of our board members. I'm looking for Rodrigo. Is he here yet? Well, Rodrigo Espinoza is a county board member, and I bet she'll make an appearance this evening. I saw him last night, public meeting in Plana. I know he was planning on attending. He's also one of our board members. We also have a technical review board. A lot of the materials before they go to our governing board go through a panel of the city managers and the county CEO, and happy to see Jose here, who serves on that group as well. So Merced County Association of Governments has a lot of different duties. We do transportation planning, which is what we're here to talk about this evening. And it is an exciting time for transportation planning in this area because, for lack of a better term, for the first time in a while, we've actually had some money to plan for. Any of the plans we do have to be what's called fiscally constrained. You can only plan for things that you can reasonably expect to have money for. Between SB 1 from the state side and Measure V that was passed locally, over the next 10 years, the estimated amount of revenue that's going to come to our county from SB 1 and Measure V, just in a 10-year period, is over $225 million to our county. So that's a huge increase in funding. So it's an exciting time to be doing regional transportation planning. And I'll just note that we also provide the staffing for the Transit Joint Powers Authority, the bus system, the Arts bus system that goes up the Yosemite, and the Regional Waste Management Authority, which runs the 2 landfills in the county. But without further ado, I'll turn it over to Matt, who's going to talk about the regional transportation plan. Oops. Oh, there it is. Great. Perfect. And I'll just have you know that we've actually done a tour of all six city councils and the county board, and you're actually the last stop on the tour. So nothing personal, just that's how the schedule came out.
Oh, thank you. Again, my name is Matt Fell. I'm with Merced County Association of Governments, and wanted to talk a little bit about our regional transportation plan, give you an update on where we're at. So what is the plan? Basically, it's a road to the future. Hopefully, our road will be smooth and not so bumpy anymore now that we have those additional funds that Patrick was talking about. More specifically, what is the RTP? Well, it is a long-range plan. It's a 25-year plan. We look all the way out to 2042, basically because it can take a very long time to get a project done. To get a project planned, environmentally cleared, and funded can take a very long time, so we have to look a long distance out into the future. It is our main planning document, and it's guiding transportation investments throughout the county, so that's one of the main purposes. And we do look at regional issues, meaning spanning multiple jurisdictions, and we look at all the different modes. So we look at maintenance, we look at traffic congestion, we even look at bicycle and pedestrian facilities because there is a regional benefit there because of improvements to air quality. Air quality is a regional issue. We do link with land use and housing and employment. So the transportation plan is based on your general plan and the other general plans. Transportation is the link between where we live and where we work and where we go to school, and all those things are part of your general plans. And of course, we have to follow federal and state laws and rules, so we do that. As Patrick mentioned, MCAG is the county and the 6 cities. Working together, we do regional planning. Also mentioned, the good news, Measure V passed. That was here locally. And then the state legislature passed SB 1. And on that pie, the green slices are the local half of the pie, which this council decides. So there's local projects, and there's a piece of that pie for alternative modes. That all those projects are decided by this body. The share of that is decided by this council, and the other shares for the other jurisdictions go to their councils and the Board of Supervisors. The orange and yellow pieces of the pie, the regional projects, all of those projects have to be listed in the regional transportation plan. So there's a strong link between Measure V and the RTP, those regional projects. Just a little bit about the outreach and the timeline. How do we prepare the plan? We do a lot of outreach. We do a lot of technical work, but we also are, it's very important to do a lot of outreach to find out what people want to do, what their thoughts are, what their concerns are, and to bring that all together in the plan. We've just completed our second round of outreach. We had a workshop here in Livingston on October 25th, and we had workshops in Los Banos, and a workshop in Merced last week, and we did one last night in Planada. We also did numerous presentations to community groups throughout the county, I think at least 20, if not 30 or more. And we now have a survey on our website where we're gathering input on what people would like to see. And we're going to put all that together and prepare a draft that we'll release next spring. And there'll be a 2-month review and comment period, and then we'll have, a final ready for adoption in the summer. And those are the workshops that we already had. The 3 workshops, actually, we added another in Planada, as I said. And then, but we are still taking input through our website, so mercedregionalvision.com. If you go on there, you can find there's a big button on the front that says Virtual Workshop Number 2, and on there you can see the same exact presentation that was done at the workshops, as well as all of the supporting information. And we also have a survey where people can answer some questions about kinds of projects they want. They can give a yes, no on some specific major projects, and they can give some voting on 4 scenarios for the future. And we're going to get all that survey results and take it to our board and get some direction on how to prepare our draft plan. So we're going to be starting to promote that survey very soon. It'll be open probably till the end of November or early December. We want to get as many responses as we can so that we can get as much feedback as we can. And if you have any questions on the RTP, I'd be happy to answer those.
Those comments you need to like log in and use email or?
Sure, and actually on our website, we also have a comment form where folks can submit comments that way. They can also submit comments directly to me through email or by phone, or to our outreach task manager. So yeah, any time, any question about RTP, anything like that, I'd be happy to take those questions.
Have any questions, Council?
Okay.
I'm going to open up to the public, 722, for any questions, comments. Please come up front and give your name and address, please.
My name is Paul Garcia, and I'm a resident of Delhi. And a matter of fact, I attended the first meeting here, the first workshop that you had, and then the other one in Merced, and then last week also in comment. The only concern I have is that this last meeting, when I was trying to comment, like I said, they were like, I had my hand. They said that they didn't see my hand. So if you don't want to hear me, just tell me the truth, okay? But all that was presented, okay, I got most of it, but I had some concerns in regards to the process of those projects being funded, and that's what that's the question that I had, and it was never even given me an opportunity to speak. I know you can give me your card, but you know what? I already got the website, okay? So, but I just want to let you know, hey, I got roots here in Livingston, but I live in Delhi, but it seems like I'm over here more than I am in Delhi. But again, these 2 areas is the one that I go out there to speak, because there's a large need for those 2 areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
My name is Floripes, and I live here in Livingston. My address is 929 Orchard Way. And my, I don't know, it's like a question, a comment to say if you can help me. Like, because I talked to Mr. Torres, the one that make the schedule for Livingston. And I know they said the priority is to help the seniors and the students for the college. But also, I just want to know, because I live 1 mile in the half from the Livingston High School. So I don't know if you guys can help me to see if you can help the students, because I am a parent and a leadership for this community, and I want to help the students. Is why I want to say if you guys can try to make a schedule in the morning and a schedule in the after school, because I know they have a schedule, but that schedule doesn't work for the students. Okay, thank you.
I'll take that one. Patrick Pittenger, and that was related to transit scheduling. She was referring to a Mr. Mauricio Torres, who is an employee of of the transit portion we work on, and he does a lot of good work with scheduling bus routes. We have 17 bus routes, and also with ADA paratransit service, and we'll be happy to discuss with you. At the moment, I'm filling in as transit director as well, so it's also my direct responsibility. So we'll be happy to talk to you, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pat.
Luis Flores, 707 Almawood Drive. I've attended some of your meetings on behalf of Valley Land Alliance, and I know Gina Kuye couldn't make yesterday's meeting, who represents our organization. I'm wondering if you can provide maybe a quick update of yesterday's meeting. And at the meeting that I attended a month ago, some of the archive documents talked about adding an additional lane to Highway 99 in the Livingston corridor. So I'm not sure if future plans will consider actually doing that, because I know, as someone who drives on 99 often, increasing the number of lanes on 99 between Livingston and Delhi would be very, very nicely appreciated. So an update from yesterday's meeting and any updates from the Livingston corridor on 99. Thanks.
Yeah, as far as yesterday's meeting, if you could give me a call, we could talk about that, because I can keep filling in more in depth on that. But there actually is some pretty good news about the widening project of 99. It does look pretty good, the chances. I don't want to go into that in great detail, but it is a pretty strong candidate for this cycle for being funded. And that would widen 99 all the way, from south of Hammett Interchange all the way to the county line. And that $75 million project, $70 million of that would come from the state and $5 million from MCAG. So keep your fingers crossed, and we'll hope for the best, but it does look pretty good for that project.
Hey, Matt? Oh. I'm not sure if I should know the answer, but I'm pretty sure you do. When they do go to the 6 lanes project, are they going to do the resurfacing too, or is that going to be, because some of the, if you pass into Stanton County, 99 gets it's pretty smooth. When you get this side, it lets you know you're in Merced County now. You know if they're going to be resurfacing at the same time?
The widening project would be in 21-22. So if there's any resurfacing, they might have to do that before then or after then. In other words, the widening project is just to add the lanes.
Was that resurfacing done at the county level through local fund matches or something? Because I noticed that it says Stanislaus County, Merced County. There's a little bump, and then you're in Stanislaus County. You come this way, you're in Merced County.
Right. If it's on the state highway, then it's through Caltrans, through their SHOP program, and we can certainly communicate those needs to them.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that even the one in Delhi, parts of it was built at the same time, but yet they would stop at the county line. I didn't understand that,
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can pass that on.
Yeah, and if you get whatever, if you don't mind, please.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Thanks, Matt.
And then, Matt, if you can just elaborate a little bit about our attendance at the board meeting and the advocacy we did as it relates to the widening of the project.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. So the widening project, the Livingston median widening on 99. Again, that's a project that Caltrans is proposing to put in the bulk of the money, and the decision is actually made by California Transportation Commission. So Caltrans nominates the project, and the CTC holds public hearings basically on these projects. And we attended, and we advocated for that project, and Jose attended that same hearing and advocated on behalf of the City Council for the need for that project, and also our partnering, that we were putting in some of our own money because it was so important to us.
Any other public comments? Okay, we'll close public comments back at 7:29.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Pat and Mr. Matt, for your presentation. We'll move on to item 2. We have Vilma A. Reynoso, Gateway Adult Education Network Coordinator, will address the adult education services the program provides within Merced, Mariposa, and Northern Madera counties.
Good evening. My name is Vilma Reynoso. I am the coordinator for Gateway Adult Education. I provided a folder with information about our classes and what we provide throughout the region. And this grant is fairly new. It's Adult Education Block Grant. And the region, Merced County, Mariposa, and Northern Madera received $3.2 million to provide adult education services and trainings. And if you look into the right side of my right side of the folder, you're going to see our brochure that have condensed information of everything that we do for adults. In Merced, we have some categories that we need to serve. And those are high school diploma or equivalency, better known as GED, career and technical education, workforce reentry, apprenticeships, family literacy, English, math, and family literacy, services that provide education for adults with disability, ESL classes and citizenship, and education for older adults. So when they call older adults, it's adults over 55. So we try to do that. We also provide childcare in certain school districts, transportation also in a couple of our school districts. We have some college and transition services for our students to help them how to navigate the transition from adult school to college. We have also a job developer. He's working very hard to connect with all the businesses, agency within in the region. And in the right side of your folder, you can see his letter. We are looking for business owners or programs coordinators or director of agency that would like us to send our students to do hands-on practice and try to learn a little bit of the workforce. Many of our students haven't had a job in a little while from different reasons. So we are going to do our part to train them to how to interview, how to get into the job on time, and other information. So his information is also in the folder. If you know somebody or you are able to put somebody to work, it's volunteer work, so you're going to get free labor. But we got to take care to screen all our students so you get the best of the best. And if you can cooperate with us, that will be great. We also are working, and if you see in the back of our brochure that it says coming soon, the GED testing, we were able to take about $40,000 of our grant. We are redoing a classroom at Merced Adult School in Merced, and we gotta have GED testing. All our students within the region that are ready to take a GED test, they only have to go and take it. We gotta pay for it, so that is eliminating the barriers for our students to take the test and hopefully get a better job. So those are the good news that we have. My email address is on the back of the brochure and also in your folder. But do you have any questions so far? Comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Wilma, right?
Vilma.
Yeah, just a question, and I'm glad you came out because folks were asking, are there going to be classes offered in Livingston? Because
Yes.
there are classes.
She is going to give you more information about all
perfect.
the classes in Livingston. I brought her in just for that. Anything else?
Do you know the location where they're going to have it in Livingston?
Yeah, she's going to have all that information
Okay.
all for you. Because I came to, Arturo invited me, and I spoke with Jose on the phone. I don't know who is Jose, okay. And, sorry. And I came to give you the the overview of the whole grant and the region, and that is what I brought her to give you the information about Livingston, the classes that we are offering, and how the high school district and the elementary school district are providing classes, and she's in charge of all that. So if you don't have any questions for me, I'm going to let her give you all the information that she has for your city.
Before she begins,
Okay.
Mr. Ramirez? Yes. If you remember that there was a business in Livingston you and I had a meeting with, they were looking for a partnership, perhaps you can pass that information on.
Okay. Yeah, we need that. We really need partners. We have all these students that we are working very closely, providing them all the skills and tools to get them ready to join the workforce. I could put my word on it, that we're going to make the best for you to get somebody that really is willing to work and wanting to work. Okay? Thank you.
Do you have these flyers and pamphlets at City Hall
Yeah, I have some flyers ready
that
too.
we could leave at City Hall, so when people come in, they can, we have an area where they can look
Okay.
at certain things. I'll open up for the public for any comments or questions.
My name is Paul Garcia, and I'm a resident of Delhi. And my question is, the question is that, are these classes open to undocumented? Or Anybody? Also, is there some services for, let's say that some of the youth that dropped out of high school and they need to get their high school diploma, but they got in trouble with the law and all that? Is there resources to get them back on track?
Yes.
Thank you, that's my question.
We don't have any obstacles at all.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, we'll bring it back to you.
Okay, good evening. My name is Sean Costa, and I'm a program manager for Merced Adult School. I supervise and take care of all the evening classes throughout Merced County. So this is I'm actually on the clock right now, just so you know. What I have for you here is flyers, and I'll have enough for you to probably put at City Hall also. What we're offering currently in Livingston is at Livingston High. From 6 to 8 on Tuesday and Thursday nights, we have an English class, ESL class for parents and anybody in the community, totally free, and childcare provided. It's actually happening right now up the street at Livingston High. That class will continue all the way through the end of April. We started it in October. We try to align our classes to work with the farm labor so that, we're not interrupting the farm season, and that seems to help a lot and keeps our numbers up. So we have one at Livingston High. We also have an English class at Selma Herndon on Tuesday and Friday mornings, 8 to 10:30, childcare provided again. We have really great high numbers in that class. At Campus Park, from 3:30 to 5:30 on a Monday and a Wednesday, we're providing citizenship classes. We teach the students how to go about filling out the paperwork. We show them the process, how to answer the questions, whatever it needs to be done to make sure that they're going to be successful getting their citizenship. And then we have a Spanish GED class at Livingston Middle School on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:30 to 5:30. And that's the services we're providing currently in Livingston. I have another flyer here of other classes that are in the area that are also in the afternoons and the evenings. And that's about it. Any questions for me?
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yes, I do want to let you know that our citizenship class and our Spanish GED class, they are at risk of being closed due to lack of participation. Our numbers are low right now. It is a concern. So we're hoping to, bring some more life into those classes. Numbers are a little low. We do have students there, but, to justify keeping the class open, we need about 12 students, and we have about 8 currently in each one of those classes.
Are these classes semester-based, or that anybody can participate and start at any time?
The ones that are at Selma Herndon Campus Park and Livingston Middle, we started those at the end of August. We'll be wrapping them up at the end of November, and we'll start back up again in January and wrap up at the end of May. And the one that is at Livingston High, we got started at the end of October, and we'll finish up at the end of April. That
So-
one, we're kind of trying to avoid the farming season.
So if you haven't signed up, then it's already too late for this?
No, you can always start. That's another thing that we have open enrollment. Because
It's open enrollment,
even
okay.
if a student only goes for 3 days, that's 3 days more education than they had before they started. So we're open enrollment, show up anytime. There are no regulations, just come on in. We welcome anybody at any time.
Okay, thank you very much. This is very helpful.
All right. I will leave these back here for you, okay? All these
Thank you.
flyers. Thank you.
Ay, thank you. Aquí tenemos el programa Gateway, es educación para adultos y dan clases para para ser ciudadano. Tienen clases de inglés y también para agarrar su diploma. Si gustan más información, pueden venir aquí al salón de la ciudad y aquí vamos a tener información para si gustan tomar estas clases. También tienen otras clases y servicios que les pueden ayudar a salir adelante en su educación. Y si gusta más información, nomás vengan aquí al salón de la ciudad.
También quieres agregar que no piden ninguna documentación, ¿verdad?
Correcto.
Ok. So, está abierto para todos. Indocumentados, no documentados, lo que sea.
Sí, esto con el plan es el plan del Adult Education Blog es eliminar todas las barreras para que las personas puedan ser educadas. Nada más tienen que tener 18 años, no se le va a preguntar más nada. Tienen 18 años, quieren ir a la escuela, entonces pueden ir a la escuela. Hasta para tomar el examen del GED, nada más tienen que estar inscritos en las clases y toman el examen gratis. No necesitan tener ningún tipo de identificación que digan que están documentados en el país.
Gracias.
I have one more question before you. On this pamphlet, it has fees 75 per module, but then evenings, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays are free, or how does that work?
Those classes that are $75 per modules, those are the community classes, and that is like a choice for people. They were created when people want to do like learn a little bit of computers and have a little certification. Those are community classes. They are for fee classes. The other ones are for free. In that pamphlet for the computer classes, they don't get any kind of certification, but we are still working to find a program that we can afford paying for. So the students get a certification for free. The other ones that you saw there, the construction technology, foundation in early learning, grid technology and energy conservation, logistic and warehouse, and medical administrative assistant. In all those classes, the student get a certification and we pay for the exam.
Okay.
So they just have to get to the classroom and we take care of everything else. So if you can help us passing the word out, especially for the classes here in Livingston that are at risk, I'm the guilty person who have to say you need more students. If not, I close it. So it is my fault, you can tell them, but if you can bring more people to it, that will be great. That will help a lot. You know about grants, we need numbers in order to get the money, so we don't want to lose that money to Sacramento.
A suggestion to both of you is maybe like these flyers, there's 2 Sikh temples here. Do hand those flyers, give those flyers to them, and even ask them if they can make these announcements, and they will make it announcement to the congregation so they're aware of these classes. I think a lot of our folks are always looking for citizenship classes. So maybe something that you may want to reach out to them. They may be able to help you out on that.
Okay, that will be a great idea. Any other questions? Thank you for the time.
And also it's in Spanish, but I'll say it in English. Anyone interested, you can come down to City Hall. There'll be flyers and pamphlets. You have citizenship class, English as a second language, and You can get your GED, and they're at our local schools for these programs. So you can come down to City Hall, and there'll be pamphlets and information. Thank you, ladies. Next, we'll go to announcements. I don't. We'll go to city staff announcements.
Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor, council members, members of the public. Anthony Chevria, Public Works Director. I'm here this evening to provide a monthly summary of Public Works activity. The first few pictures are of Max Foster Basin area. This is after the festival. Staff started repairing and aerating the ground, repaired some broken sprinklers, filled in some ruts. All in all, it stayed in pretty good shape. I found an older picture in 2016 on the right and 2017. As you can see, staff did a really good job this year in preparing the basin area. This is the area where the wrestling ring was located. As you can see, it fared well as also, stayed pretty green. Minimal impact from the traffic. This slide is of an audit, a water audit that Tony Avina and I completed about 3 weeks ago. And what it is it's called a Water Loss Tap Program. This was created to help urban water suppliers comply with SB 555. And that's SB 555 is where Governor Brown has required a 20% reduction in water use by 2020. So basically, this was created as a tool to help the urban water suppliers comply with SB 555. It'll be an annual report. This was the first year that it was due. You can't really see, but on the bottom is our score. Our score is 55 out of 100, which don't think of it as a letter grade, because that'd be an F. But just to give you an understanding on how we fared, out of the 400 required participants in the program, the average score was between 50 and 62. So we scored 55, so we're in the middle of the pack there. So they say this will be a continuous, every year annual report due. Sanitary sewer overflow. The sanitary sewer system, WDR, requires public agencies that own or operate a sanitary sewer system to develop and implement sewer system management plans and report all SSOs to the State Water Board's online SSO database. After an assessment of the city's SSO protocol, it was found that we're out of compliance with the SSO reporting module. We're in the process of rectifying the issue. As of October 1st, we are in compliance. I am the registered LRO for the city. I'm working with our wastewater staff and training them so they could take this over and keep the city in compliance. I'm still waiting for a call back from the State Water Resource Control Board. I scheduled a meeting with them to do a file review and talk to them about some past issues and how to move forward with that. I've been conducting some inspections with park staff and identifying some areas of missing equipment and dry spots and some coverage problems, as well as some graffiti. and some areas that needed to be cleaned up after repair. As part of the inspections I've been doing, I've been conducting liability assessment inspections on all our playground equipment. Well, one, we want to keep our kids safe out there as they're playing on this equipment, and keep our liability low. I've directed staff, as you can see in the picture, we have some problem areas there in our staircase, and they've been directed to replace pieces of equipment. So here is a picture of the street department cleaning storm drain lines and checking pumps to prepare for our winter precipitation. We've been hitting all our priority areas, checking our pumps. Here's some of the thermoplastic application by Iron Main Street. All crosswalks around the high school have been completed. So you can see the thermoplastic really stands out. Here's some of the streets crew guys that crack sealing on J Street, Walnut, Celia. Really hard to see on the left, but that's a before and after picture. We'll continue to crack seal as weather permits. This picture is in the La Tierra subdivision. We got called over by the developer. He pointed out some areas of where the pavement failed. I've directed staff that we'll be cutting those out and rolling some hot mix to repair those before we get the residents moving in. The water crew repairing a water leak at the storage tank off of Burgundy. The big 16-inch line. That's all I got. Got any questions?
Often are the playgrounds going to be inspected? Once a month, once every 6 months, or?
I think once a quarter.
Quarterly?
And then we'll adjust as necessary. And I'll be training staff to identify areas as well. That way we could all communicate and get equipment taken care of as soon as we can.
And at Memorial Park, is that area still out? I noticed a while back it had caution tape.
Yeah, the playground, there's some equipment that staff took apart and barricaded off on top, and they're making repairs now.
Okay. Any
Mr. Anthony, first of all, I want to thank you guys for starting the crack sealing. This was one of my pet, I don't want to call it pet project, but something I've been asking for years and years. I didn't think I was going to ever get that, but thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I came home one day, and the area you showed, 2nd and J, yeah. I knew it right away, and I know there's a cop in the building, but we'll pretend he's not here. Even before I stopped the car, I called the city manager to thank everybody for starting that. It was very important, because I think it's important for our payments to be extended as much as we can, because winter was getting in here, and I was kind of worried about that.
Yeah.
And so thank you to you and your crew.
Yes, sir.
And of course, I also have one other item, and I was going to give it to Jose, but since you're here, I had a citizen approach me yesterday. They live behind Arcelian Park. They have the fences that go up against the Arcelian. They're saying that that area needs to be cleaned up back there, maybe tall. I don't know what it is, but I haven't been back there. But if you could look it out towards those new homes out there, not towards Jay, but on the other side, that around the fence, they said they had gophers this weekend, this summer. I don't know what it is. It needs to be handled. But if you can look that area over.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions, council? The only other question I had is the former mayor, the current supervisor, would bring up flushing the hydrants. I got few calls from citizens that they had brown water and they had to take a bath in brown water, so maybe we can.
What area was that? Do you
It was,
recall?
I forget the street, but it's over on that side by Memorial Park and the older side.
Okay, we'll
I
address
know
that
we
flushing.
want to conserve water, but maybe we flush the manganese.
Yeah, we'll instruct staff to flush some of our dead-end lines in some of our problematic areas.
Yeah. But the city looks good. Thank you. Appreciate the hard work your crew does.
Thank you.
Have any comments from public?
My name is Paul Garcia, and I just want to ask a question. Is that the park that's over there across the street by the freeway?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Max Foster, that's, back here.
That big one where they had the,
festival?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just have one concern. It's a beautiful park, okay? But I wanted to know is, because I noticed that when we had the Sweet Potato Festival, and they were parking the cars out there, and all that dirt, is that in the near future going to be paved, or are they going to extend the park more, or it's just going to leave it like that?
I'll address that. Thank you, Paul. So since you brought that up, so the answer to that question is yes. And as a matter of fact, as part of my staff report, I'll be talking a little bit about what we're going to do in that. So I will address that in my portion.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I think you all remember me. I'm Lamont Mack. I'm the Senior Code Enforcement Officer, helping to implement our CDBG-funded grant for code enforcement and proactive and reactive community preservation. And excuse me, my colleague and I, Lisa Ochoa, are here to give you an update. I think it's been 2 months now since my last update. And happy to say that things are going well. Lisa's been doing an excellent job. She's been doing the lion's share of the work here. And we're going to have a small slideshow here for you, just to give you an idea, some numbers and things. Again, this is my last update was, I believe, mid-August. At that time, there was about 31 cases that we had resolved, various types of issues. We've since, anyway, I'll get to the numbers. Just to refresh everyone's memory, these are the types of cases that we're addressing and seeing proactively. As we know, when we first took the grant over, or took on the grant, these are the types of issues that we saw in town, the kinds of blighted conditions that you could see driving around. And we've been doing a good job of reaching out to the public and working with property owners to bring these matters to their attention, and we've been getting good results and resolutions. Also, with that said, some of the good interactions, particularly that Lisa has been having, she's reported to me that we've created some good partnerships, and so now that the community knows that we're out there and we're doing this type of work, they're giving us the kind of information and property owner information for neighboring lots and things like that. That's helping us to extend our program without having to go proactive, but now we're having people call us and we're getting reactive. So we're getting a lot of community buy-in, and that's good to see. As I mentioned before, with regard to cases, so now, as of today, we've closed 72 cases. I wish I had a breakdown of the types of cases these are, but just know that they're miscellaneous issues of all kinds. And we currently have 18 open cases. And again, this is a constant, recurring, probably open 2 or 3 cases just today. But the numbers are looking good, seeing as how we only work 16 hours a week, and things are going well. And so I'm happy to report those numbers. These are just a couple of random photos of illegal dumping. In some cases, we've been working with Public Works. If you can see on the left there, that's just a kind of a couch that was left on a sidewalk adjacent to a vacant lot. In that case, we will send an email over to Public Works, and they take care of it. They've been doing a very good job of that. And then on the situation on the right here, this is just a situation where I believe a resident had moved out and very neatly stacked their belongings on the street. But in that case, we were able to work with the property owner to have them foot the cost for picking up things like that. This is a just again one of the many, and it's not a very much of a blighted situation, but as you can see on the left there in the before picture, there's some appliances out front. There's an inoperable vehicle on the driveway. This is kind of a typical type of situation that we might see, nothing to the extreme. But again, we work with property owners like this who are very cooperative, and they realize that the city is concerned about these kind of conditions, and we like to start the discussion before it gets out of hand. And so a case like that is very typical, and we've been working well with the property owners. This is one of our situations where a lot of my colleagues, they laugh at me, but I love this aspect of community preservation where, in this case, in fact, I took those pictures myself. This is just a vacant lot. I don't remember the street, but I drove by and noticed that there had to be more than 50 pieces of trash just kind of blowing around in this field. So I stopped, took a before picture with some trash, picked it up myself, threw it away in the neighboring garbage can, and then kept it moving. And I figure in those cases, you know, some people would think, oh, well, that's not a good use of your time. You should write a letter to the property owner. Well, this is my version of working with the community in what I call supportive code enforcement and community preservation. I noticed there was a lot of pedestrians walking back and forth, and I figured, you know, if I were a property owner in this neighborhood and I had to walk past this lot every day, it wouldn't be a good feeling. And so that's the goggles that I bring. That's the kind of energy that I like to bring to a program like this. Alicante Gardens, I don't know if you're all familiar with Alicante Gardens, but it's an apartment complex that's aging and it's in disrepair. We've recently started some conversations with both the on-site property manager and recently left a notice for the owner regarding, you know, we're going to start with some of we have issues like dead trees and dead landscaping, lots of litter, inoperable vehicles, dumping, graffiti, pretty much runs the gamut. So this is going to be my pet project for a while, and hopefully everybody can see the new windows that are going to go. This is at Swan and Francie. It's across the street from, there's a church there, and I can't think of the name. Yes, so it's a very prominent corner. If you've noticed it, you probably drive by it probably long ago. It probably that's the inner court area, and some of the examples of broken windows and missing screens and the like. And so, like I said, we're going to start with. I'm going to try and do a neighborhood cleanup of sorts where we can get a large debris box and have some of the backyards and the things cleaned up. And then we're going to, again, using my onion approach, get to a point where we can actually engage residents and empower them to complain about actual interior living conditions without being too intrusive. Any questions from council?
And also for day pictures, you guys, would you go out at night to see how lighting is also?
It's not a bad idea.
Just to see, you know, just trying to promote the housing projects and stuff. I live on that side and I actually have to pay attention more to see how the lighting is going on. But I'd like the residents to build it together and make sure that landscaping and lighting is
Very good idea. I was out there today and I was walking under one of the carports and I noticed that kind of a single light bulb with cobwebs all over it, and I wondered in the back of my mind if the lights even work. So that's an excellent idea to check that out.
this is just a general comment to the public, and that is that, you know, the city's very proactive, and especially when we have new developments coming in, that we put in place different elements to, you know, assure that there's some type of maintenance agreement. And of course, a lot of these facilities are older, and back in the day, there wasn't, you know, these maintenance agreements. So, so we're proactive in moving forward with new construction, but also addressing the code enforcement elements. And so I appreciate you both tackling that. That's a big project right there.
Thank you.
I just have a question. Matter of fact, for code enforcement, do they, when they cite somebody, and if they don't take care of it, are they given what do you call it, a fine?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. The quick answer is yes. There is a fine if a citation is issued, but I'm happy to say that with the 72 matters that we've closed, we have not issued one citation, and we're just now to the point where we have about 3 property owners that'll need that kind of product. Yes, a fine would be involved in those cases.
Okay, because I have a list, and I'd like to, in other words, get your number so I can turn it in.
By all means.
Any other public comments? I thank you, code enforcement. Appreciate the hard work.
Thank you.
Any other staff reports? I have Ms. Jackie from Recreation Department.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if you missed me or not, but I was on vacation for a couple weeks and I missed you guys, and I'm back and ready to go. I guess you guys all probably have heard about the trunk or treat. Super successful. I wish I could have seen your wrestling outfit. The girls have been telling me about it. So if you have a picture, send it my way. As I was getting texts, they said, I think this is too successful. But it was just amazing. From the pictures I've seen and the feedback that we've got, it's definitely a do again activity. So I just wanted to let you guys know of a few things coming up. This weekend, November 10th, 9th and 10th, the coaches will be holding a skills assessment for our basketball program. And we are now taking a request for the Court of Trees. So if you'd like to be a part of our lighted Christmas tree forest, you can come into City Hall and get signed up. Also, November 18th, I just posted something on Facebook. There's a couple of kids from the high school that are doing a clothes drive to give clothes and coats to people in need. So if you'd like more information, if you have some coats to get rid of or some clothes, give us a call. I can get you in contact with those people. Also, December 8th, mark your calendar. It's our lighted Christmas parade. Can't wait to see everybody out there. I tell people this is the event you need to go to if you haven't seen anybody in a year, because this is where Livingston all gets together. So, and we'll be lighting the Court of Trees that night. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor? First of all, you're absolutely correct. Trunk or Treat was very successful. In fact, it had a direct impact on a number of people that had trick-or-treaters at their homes. There was actually a decrease because more people, there were a lot of kids out here and in a safe environment too. And I think it was great, and I was able to get my revenge on the teachers by passing out all kinds of candy. I know they're going to be sugar kicked the next day, you know, because they did it to us, so we did it to them this time. So kudos to all your staff and everybody that thought of the idea. It was great.
Thank you, Jackie. That was very successful, and I did notice a decrease in trick-or-treaters
coming over here, I'm like, where's all the kids? And as soon as I got here, okay, they're all here. And as soon as it was over, then they hit the neighborhoods. But it was a really nice turnout and very successful. So I look forward to having it every year. Any comments from the public? All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ruben Chavez from Police Department. I don't have my uniform on, so I had to say my name. But anyways, kudos to Tony and Maria from 4th of July Committee. That was a fun event, and I think the police department went through like 10 bags of candy. And I'm just worried that we're going to get the neighboring jurisdictions and the cities coming next year because it was such a success. So, and then also I want to thank Code Enforcement. We work closely with them for on a lot of different issues, and they've helped out some enforcement action that we needed. And so it's great to have them on board. I have no formal report. I'm going to bring it next time. We'll have our Cops for Kids next month in December. I do want to say, though, that this Saturday is the big Livingston Rotary Crab Feed. So it's going to be a fun event, a lot of great, all-you-can-eat crab. And so if anybody's interested in some tickets, I'll have some. But also Brandon at True Value will have the tickets as well. So I encourage anybody that wants to be part of a great event, a lot of fun, please come out. Thank you.
Any other reports? And we'll bring it back to our city manager report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council and public. A few things to highlight here. First is I would like to thank Ana Zarate, one of our interns that are here, that's actually has worked on an item that is before council today for approval, and we appreciate the work you do. In addition to that, I want to take a quick moment to highlight Brad and our finance director, interim finance director, and also Dana, who have been working diligently on the budget. And so our workshop is just around the corner. We'll be having some dates for council and the public very soon. So thank you very much for that hard work. As you can see, this facility that we're in right now, was freshly painted, and so the flooring will come next. We'll be, doing some logistical moving around over at City Hall to try to minimize the impact to our residents and to our staff. But we will be painting and putting in the flooring in different sections over there. So there'll be some construction going on. Okay. Also, just to let everybody know that we are currently looking at updating all of our personnel rules and regulations to make sure that they're compliant and that they meet the legality components to it. So that's something we're working on. We're also looking at upgrading our access control system. We've been having some problems, and we want to make sure that all of our facilities have the same type of system so that we don't have to be calling out different vendors for different facilities. We're also right now looking at different energy efficiency proposals from like Optera, Climatech, American Solar, and I think one other, to see, basically looking to see where we can save some money and also have a better, greener footprint and lower our carbon footprint. And then also, I know the gentleman asked about what are we doing with, or what would we plan to do with that vacant property that's at that sports complex out there at Max Foster Park. So there's actually a land and water conservation grant that is out there right now that we're really looking at going after. It requires a 50% match, but part of that 50% match can actually be in kind. And so anything that we've already have done and that we plan to do out there that we can use to put towards in-kind services, we will, so that our actual dollar match can be less. We are going to do that. So basically what we're looking at doing is putting out some, trying to look at multi-use, as a multi-purpose facility. So baseball fields, to see if we can incorporate cricket, we can, accommodate maybe another soccer field. But the idea is to maximize the space go after this money, get the maximum points. And so we're trying to get the maximum points in all of these different categories. Part of that requires, a property to be placed into perpetuity for, that's 15 points for, always be a park. So those are the things that we're going to have to look at and then bring back to council. But we are in the process right now of engaging our grant writer and trying to put our best foot forward for that. And then lastly, the DACA letter was drafted and it was sent out. So I just wanted to report that out. Unless you have any questions, that's all I have at this moment. Thank you.
I heard lots of positive things about the trunk or treat. This last weekend, I was at my water fellowship down in Long Beach, so every month I'm spending 2 or 3 days on water policy, trying to focus on our local region here. And look forward to the Christmas tree parade. I know that's always a big thing in my household, so keep up the good work, everybody.
Just to report, I attended the Rec Commission meeting. Out of that meeting, it was suggested that we look at the little guys and gals park, the little baseball park. The Rec Commission actually assigned a subcommittee to do fundraising, look for sponsors, to really rehab the whole that facility, that baseball park. I'm supporting that decision by the Rec Commission. However, I would like to have our engineers department, just like I talked to Jose about, just to see how much it would cost to give us an estimate, so we could have a goal, to fundraise for. Another important thing is I know the school district owns that park, so we would have to schedule a meeting to talk to them to see if even it's a possibility we would move forward with that. So. That's what happened at the Rec Commission. Just to go back to the trunk or treat, good job. I know Tony and the Rec Commission did a really good job in the 4th of July committee. Very successful. And that's it.
Just report the Veterans Parade. It's going to be November 11th at 11 a.m. here on C and Main Street. So if anybody wants to participate, you can call the Rec Commission or Maria Batista for it. So, but I've heard nothing but great stuff about the trunk or treat. I wasn't around, but good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it again about the trunk or treat. Very successful. It was good to see our fire department, police department, everybody participate. Even our council member, aka the Dalmatian of the fire department. Well, I tell you, this guy right here, when a fire truck siren goes on, his ears go up like he's headed there, There was so many people there that fire department, everybody ran out of candy. That's how many kids we had. But I want to thank everybody for participating. And also, as Mr. Cicato's already said, we do need to support our veterans, After the parade, come on, go out there and have lunch with them, and that's great. Thank some of the people that made everything possible for us. So it'll be a good event there, too. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And again, we have the Veterans Day Parade this Saturday, so come out and support your veterans. Down the future, I'd like to see, Memorial Park maybe get a makeover to represent our veterans. It's probably due for a little bit of a makeover. And banners were put down Main Street, for the veterans. So come out. Hopefully it's great weather, and we can support our veterans, that the men and women that have given their time to serve this great nation of ours. And again, trunk or treat was great. Thank you for all the staff. You are the backbone of the city, so without your hard work, it doesn't go unnoticed. So we do appreciate, and the community appreciates, the hard work that you do. So we're thankful for that. And I just want to say thank you to for the sponsors for Livingston Youth Football. Our season's over, and it was nice to have some sponsorship. This is my 6th year coaching, and we do get kids that are economically challenged. Then sometimes parents can only afford to have, they have several kids, and there is a cost to it, but there's rewards to it. We do push education and teamwork and leadership. We teach life lessons through sports. So thank you for those who sponsored. And let's see, what else was there? Don't have anything else at this moment, so we'll go ahead and move on. Oh, we did have a new restaurant open up, Guayabitos. So they've opened up. They're right behind the Circle 7. So come out and support and, have lunch or dinner there, bring the family. And we welcome them to the Livingston community and, support them so they can be successful. So we'll move on to citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the City Council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the City Council this evening. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the City Council as each item is brought up for discussion. So we'll open up for citizen comments at 8:21.
Catherine Shell Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163. Yeah, the trunk or treat was a real success. I had a grand total of 7 trick-or-treaters that evening, so I had to stay home with my elderly mother-in-law that I'm helping to care for, and so yeah, in one way it's kind of sad, not having all the little visitors to, drop the little candy in each bag. But on the other hand, I'm very glad that our community was able to come together and provide a safe alternative for the children of the community. And from what I'm hearing, it turned out to be really, really great. So keep it up, and who knows, maybe it too will someday will grow up so big that it outgrows Main Street. Anyway, on October 3rd, there was a joint planning commission and city council meeting, and if I'm remembering correctly, you spent nearly 3 hours discussing potential cannabis regulation within the city of Livingston. Since a few weeks have passed, I have a few questions. I'm wondering if the city attorney could give us just a brief summary of what was decided to be included in a potential draft ordinance. My second question is there going to be another workshop or community workshop, and if so, when? And my last question would be, when might a proposed cannabis-related ordinance and zoning amendment be going before the Planning Commission?
So just to give a quick summary, since the item is not on the agenda, the council and the Planning Commission did have a workshop regarding timing. It will be, we're going to have a Planning Commission meeting next Wednesday, where a draft ordinance for their recommendation is going to be heard by them. The plan is to bring the item to the City Council for actually the first reading of the ordinance in the first meeting in December. The game plan is to have the ordinance adopted, as discussed with the council and the planning commission, adopted by the end of the year. And then, of course, having staff move forward with the implementation of it, if it is adopted, that is. Regarding the uses, just real quick, it was indoor cultivation, and the ordinance will have size limitations. Commercial medical cannabis delivery, that's going to be discussed. Commercial cannabis manufacturing, volatile and non-volatile, commercial cannabis testing, and also micro businesses, and those are the businesses, the license that allows for several different types of cannabis uses to be all under one permit. For example, it would allow a cultivation, distributor, and let's say a dispensary. However, for Livingston, all micro businesses, any micro business allowed would not allow outdoor cannabis cultivation or retail. That's just a quick summary. Again, it'll be all in a lot more detail next Wednesday as it's slated for the Planning Commission to review.
Thank you, Council.
My name is Paul Garcia, and I just have a couple of things that I like to bring up. One is the what is it? The Winton off-ramp that comes into Livingston over here, and that is so congested in traffic. And I know that I think that the way they design that and all those businesses there, it just creates more traffic problems. Also, with a new hotel that's coming in, that's being built there, well, it's going to create more traffic jams. So maybe there should be another way out of there, so detour the traffic from there, because you got semi trucks coming in there also as well. That's one. Secondly, is the how safe are people that go to church because of all the things that are happening in Texas and in Fresno. So that's the other concern that I had. And then the other thing is that I wanted to address was the weeds, that weed abatement. Still, as you're coming into Livingston off the Winton Express, it doesn't look right, and there's a lot of weeds, still papers and all that. You have all these announcements about, the events that are going on in Livingston. Well, that would be nice to have that cleaned up, so people, when they get off the freeway and they're coming into Livingston. So, and I brought this up before as a concern, and I'm bringing it up again. And those are the only things that I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Paul.
Bob Wallace, 1697 Spruce Court, Mayor and Council. Just a quick thing for the chief. The residents up in my area, we want to thank personally Officer Oliver for responding on the 31st. We had 2 loose, large dogs and young kids out trick-or-treating. They weren't vicious, but when you have 80-pound dogs coming up, 6, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kids, it got reported, and a couple people, can't we do something? And one called to the police, and within a few minutes, Officer Oliver arrived. Even though the people weren't home, he was still there when he tried to put them in their yard, and the dog he wasn't comfortable with it. They didn't like him anywhere near their door going in the yard. But shortly thereafter, the people came home, and I don't know what ended with the discussion with Officer Oliver, but those dogs have been kept up where they belong, and wanted to make sure you thank them on behalf of the residents in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace.
Luis Flores, 707 Almonwood Drive. Just have 3 hopefully quick things. I'm a big fan of traffic mitigation measures, and I'm not a fan of the new speed bumps over here. As an aside, But are there any plans to implement some traffic mitigations on B Street? I know some residents have approached me about it's really difficult to get onto B Street. Drivers on B Streets go really, really fast, just to sort of echo Paul's concern about that whole area. So maybe possibly adding a stop sign in that cross section there, or speed bumps. I know at one point there was some discussion about creating an additional lane there so that there's a turn-only lane and then a lane that goes directly to Winton Parkway. So I'm not sure if there's any updates on that front. My second question is, are there any updates with sort of any housing development, or have any new housing permits been pulled? I know that our enrollment at the school district is going down, and it has been going down. So any update on the housing front? And then lastly, I know I've been inconsistent in coming to these meetings, but what was the final verdict on the city's motto, sweet potato or not sweet potato? So any of those responses would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. I've had a few people approach me about B Street and East Avenue also, so we'll look into that.
All right, Mr. Flores, as it relates to the housing front, as you mentioned, so there has been, our absorption rate here in the community is actually, has picked up quite a bit. So we do have quite a bit of, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but we have definitely several building permits being pulled for housing. And we certainly have interest in the other areas where there's, there hasn't been any activity, and so we're looking at the DAs and hopefully we can start negotiations on that front. As it relates to the model, I have to check back with the council and find out kind of where all that's at, because I'm not 100% sure since I wasn't here, but we'll get back to you on that. On the traffic mitigation on B Street, as you know, it requires a lot of different analysis on that. So we'll huddle up with the public safety, the police department, the engineering, and planning, and we'll look at, because as you know, as there's different improvements, like for instance with the new clinic coming in, the widening, there's going to be a light signal being placed there in the very near future, and then we're also we're doing everything we can right now. We have had several meetings with Caltrans. Of course, we are working with MCAG on addressing the bottleneck over there, especially those that are going either north or southbound on freeway. So yeah, those are front and center, and we're going to be addressing those.
Move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine or non-controversial and will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the city council or city manager request the specific items be removed. And we have items 4 through 9. 4 is resolution approving and certifying designation of the applicant's agent resolution for non-state agencies for federal assistance from Form Cal OE3 130. Item 5, City Council authorization to implement a FICA plan. Item 6, City Council to authorize the sale of surplus vehicles and property. Item 7, approval of minutes of meeting held on June 28, 2017. Item 8, approval of warrants registered dated October 12, 2017. And item 9, approval of warrant registered dated November 2nd, 2017.
Motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion by Vice Mayor Samra. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Councilmember Aguilar. Do I can get roll call?
Councilmember McCabe. Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember Siqueiros.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra.
Yes.
Mayor Soria.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote 5-0.
Move on to item 10, and we have a resolution approving an agreement with Ewing Consulting, Inc. to prepare classification and compensation studies.
Yes, Council, we have BJ and his colleague here. They're going to be making a presentation on this item.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is BJ Ewing with Ewing Consulting. We are a subsidiary of CPS HR Consulting. With me tonight is my right-hand lady, Suzanne Ansari. She's a senior consultant in our firm, and we do classification and compensation studies for all types of public sector entities. We're here today to talk about two things. We wanted to introduce ourselves to you because we will be working with the city here in a classification and compensation study, but we also want to provide you with why these studies are necessary and why these are very, very important for all of your employees. Background for Ewing Consulting, our primary market is public sector. We've done 250 clients, including cities up north and all around, city of Blue Lake, the city of Lewiston, city of Manteca, city of Mount Shasta, and most recently the city of Taft. We also perform our classification and compensation studies in over 45 community college districts. We're very well known in school districts up and down the state. We have another market where we look at the Native American and tribal organizations. We look both at the tribal organization and the tribal casinos. And we have multiple JPAs and county associations of governments across the board here. In fact, we are up here to study MCAG and their classifications in the next couple of days. So fortunately, this fit into our visit with them, and we're very happy to be here. This is an example of kind of our market in the cities that we've dealt with. You can see very large, very small cities. We also work with county and local government conducting this classification and compensation studies. This project will be staffed by myself, William Ewing Jr., or BJ Ewing, as I go by. And then Suzanne will be assisting me. She gets things done in our office. And then Dr. Lena Ray, she'll be our research and a research consultant for our firm too. She'll be interviewing and participating in all facets of the study. So why do we want to do a classification and compensation study? Well, it's very important that the city have up-to-date and current classifications for the work that they are assigning the employees to do. City councils don't like to do this because it's really burdensome for some of the employees, but it should be done because it's actually outlining the work that you're assigning the employees and the workers to do. To ensure the city has accurate, legally compliant, and up-to-date job or position descriptions. These days, there's a lot of talk about of comparable worth and male-dominant jobs versus female-dominant jobs and the disparity in salary. Our system and our analysis corrects all that. We establish the current duties and responsibilities for each classification, and we tie that job description into perhaps a performance appraisal model that we can introduce to you. So that's one way that these new job descriptions can be used. Then on the compensation side of our study, we want to make sure that since we have these brand new job descriptions up to date and the requirements are up to date, we want to make sure that we have all the employees being paid at a fair rate of pay for the work that they are doing. We establish internal relationships for each department or each division of the department. We will conduct a salary survey when we come up with a compensation. So we'll survey other cities like yours with comparable services that you provide, and we find out what they're paying for certain benchmark classifications that we will select as part of the salary survey. A typical study like this takes about 4 to 6 months to complete. A couple of things with the employees. They will be asked to fill out a questionnaire, either online or a pen and paper questionnaire about their job. What that is a snapshot of the job that has been assigned to them. That takes a lot of thinking and a lot of time for the employees to get done, but it's very valuable in developing these new job descriptions. The next phase of the project would be we'd interview select number of employees to discuss their classification, any changes in the class, any changes in the requirements of the classifications themselves, and then we go back to our offices and write up brand new job descriptions based on the information we've been provided. We send that information out to the employees for their review. They have a chance to look it over, correct anything that may not be communicating right, or some language that we forgot to include in the job descriptions. We finish the classification piece, and then we roll into the compensation piece. But I don't want to survey these jobs until we get the blessing from everybody involved that now these are the job descriptions that are current, they're accurate, the requirements are accurate, and now we can go get salaries for them. We look at any measure of whatever the market would be. Typically, we look at a 30-mile radius. Maybe we'll go out further when we do a salary survey. But then we'll look at what cities fall within that 30-mile radius or further, and then we'll gather data for each benchmark, and then we compare your salaries at the top step to the median of the top step of the market. Then we'll make formal recommendations for salary movement. If we find that Livingston is paying here for Gardner, for instance, a grounds maintenance worker, and the market's telling us we should be paying at this level, we will make the recommendation to raise the classification up to the proper salaries. Don't get too afraid. We don't leave you hanging out there with a big, huge increase in salaries or anything else. We do have, and throughout our experience, I've been with UAMF for about 25 years. Suzanne's been with our firm for about 4 years, so we've got a lot of good experience. But throughout our experience, we can provide you all with implementation strategies, depending on what the salary survey demonstrates. We can suggest any number of ways to implement studies like this. As I said, the course of a study like this will be anywhere from 4 to 6 months. And that's about it. I'll be happy, or Suzanne can she'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about the course of all this. Any
questions, Council? All right, we'll open up for any public comment. 8:45.
The only thing that I would like to add, Mayor, is we are piggybacking on the MCAG RFP process they went through and selection process that they had gone through. They actually selected Ewing, and so we're basically piggybacking on that RFP process, and we very much appreciate the proposal and the work that you guys have put into the proposal. Thank you.
Bring it back to council for the comments, for further comments, for motions.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that we adopt a resolution approving the agreement with the Ewing Consulting Inc. to prepare classification and compensation studies.
First from Vice Mayor. Second from Councilmember McCabe. Can I get roll call?
Councilmember McCabe. Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember Sicairos.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra.
Yes.
Mayor Soria.
Yes.
Motion passed by a vote 5-0.
Thank you.
Move on to item 11. It's a resolution urging the United States Congress, Senate, and President to adopt the DREAM Act of 2017 to provide permanent protection and a path to citizenship for DACA eligible residents and certain other undocumented immigrants. Council?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this was actually discussed by the city council a few meetings ago when I know Councilmember McCabe wanted this kind of the item as far as a support, something that would show that the city of Livingston is urging Congress, and again the Senate, and the President to adopt the DREAM Act of 2017. The council did direct staff to prepare a letter, send in at least a letter, but then come back with a formal resolution. Staff has sent out an actual letter, pretty much stating what this resolution mentions, and just kind of a quick summary. When the President rescinded the executive order on DACA on September, it left a lot of folks, a lot of dreamers, or who we call dreamers, which are the students that are actually here studying due to the DACA executive order, left them wondering, where is this going? Where's my future? Right? These cities like cities like Livingston, other cities that have been on the front lines of fighting for such programs like DACA and other immigration rights, quickly jumped on and started kind of pushing for a solution, pushing for at least a pathway to either residency, citizenship, whatever it is, but to allow folks that are in this country, that are doing the right thing, to remain in this country. The DREAM Act does provide that. The DREAM Act of 2017 is meant to provide conditional permanent residence to obtain lawful permanent resident status, so a green card, if they go to college, have worked for a certain amount of time, or served in the U.S. military. Again, the resolution attached here is a formal action by the City Council that would be passed on, just like the letter, urging the Congress, the Senate, and the President to adopt the DREAM Act of 2017 to provide permanent protection and a path for citizenship for DACA eligible residents.
Thank you, council. And we'll open it up for any public comment at 8:49. And we'll bring it back to council for comments or motions. Oh.
I will second that, and I'd like to make a comment as well first. When this item was originally brought up, the last meeting, I was not able to attend. But I just want to go on the record to say I wholeheartedly agree that this should be done. To punish somebody for, I don't know if you want to call it a crime, but for acts with somebody else is wrong. My kids usually don't get involved too much in what I do at the city level here, but all three of them made me sit down and listen to them how it would affect their friends. They said, we've known them all of our lives, we've been through school together, and this is plain wrong. So this is also being, not only are they coming to me, but there are a bunch of other folks that are coming, and this is plain wrong, so I wholeheartedly second it, and I hope we have a unanimous consent here.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We have a first from Councilmember McCabe, second from Vice Mayor Samra. Can I get roll call, please?
Councilmember McCabe.
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Yes.
Councilmember Siqueiros.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra.
Yes.
Mayor Soria.
Yes.
Motion passes by vote 5-0.
Next, we have item 12, it's discussion identification cards for all city residents. And turn it over to Councilmember McCabe.
Yeah, and I think it's almost misleading how it reads all city residents. What it means is it's available for all city residents. And what we see in major metropolitan areas that have similar populations to ours, that have a significant amount of undocumented people, they offer a government-issued ID at the city level. One makes it easier for them to attain their AB 60, which is their California identification. I've helped people get their AB 60, and it requires multiple forms of identification in order to get it. You just don't show up to the DMV and they hand you over a driver's license or a California ID card. So this would be very helpful for a lot of our citizens, I believe, to obtain their card, though I think it's important for us to do the research and figure out what are the pros and cons of offering a service of this nature to our community. A good thing that San Diego and Oakland do is they allow that card to also act as a debit card. So it allows people who don't have the ability necessarily to get a bank account to now be able to do banking and save money and do online purchases, etc. I think this is a good move for us to look into further and to consider, to see if it does provide benefits for our community and for residents who are underserved because of their document status. And it would be another good step to bring as many of our community members as we possibly can to a level playing field.
I'll open it up for public comment at 8:53.
Catherine Shell Rodriguez, P.O. Box 163. I've got relatives on both sides of this issue, both sides of the border. And I've had my own experience with family members on how hard it can be sometimes to get documentation such as birth certificates or baptismal records from some parts of Mexico, how costly it can be at times. Bouncing off of that, one of my questions would be, what would the city be using as the basis of issuing a city ID? That would be one question I would have. The second question I would have is who would be bearing the costs, if any? My next question is, if it's being used as a debit card, who would be the financial institution backing up the debit card, and how would that work? And I think that pretty much is the ones that just kind of pop up in my head right now. So those would be my questions.
Through the chair. So Catherine, it's one of those things where right now this is a discussion item. So those are very good questions for us to research. I would like to see what San Diego and Oakland do right now as far as their verification in order to give out the identification cards. My understanding is you have to show a form of identification from your country of origin. As far as the cost, it's usually done through a third-party provider. So right now we have the equipment to take the photos and to make our own cards, but we would be able to take the photos and then send it off to that third-party provider to produce it for us. We wouldn't be producing the cards in-house, most likely. I would think that's the most economical way to do it. That's the way San Diego has done it. And as far as the institution, I know it's a Visa, but I'm not sure of their particular banking institutions besides just saying that broadly that Visa is the one who works with the city of San Diego. I'm not sure who works with the city of Oakland. And was there another question? What am I missing? Oh, the cost. Okay, then the cost, the way the other cities have done it is they've passed the actual cost on to the recipients of the cards. So it typically ranges between $40 and $60 from my basic research. But it wouldn't be something where the city would be taking on the cost, and I wouldn't expect it to be something where we have 100 people a week going in there for an identification card. I would expect it to be maybe a couple hundred people a year.
Any other public comments? We'll bring it back to council for discussion. Any other comments or ideas?
Well, like what you said, Alex, is what's the pros and cons before we even consider it, and the cost. Great question from Catherine. So
Would this apply only to actual citizens of or people that live in the city of Livingston? So someone just outside the city limits was undocumented. Hey, I want to get, they wouldn't qualify for it. We should probably check with the state, I believe, if I'm correct, with certain documentation, documented residents can get a driver's license and some kind of ID, correct?
Yes, it's AB 60, which allows them to get their identification at the state. The thing that people are having problems with is that it's not just one document you can bring. I can't just bring my Mexican birth certificate or my whatever country birth certificate. You have to have utility bills. You have to have additional photo identification as well. So this aids in helping people to get that AB 60.
So we would have to put certain
requirements
to issue these cards out, right?
Yes.
Is that what we're looking at?
I know the Mexican consulate also provides identification, is that correct?
Yeah, no, if I could just, real quickly, yeah, the state does provide opportunities for folks undocumented to get licenses, and then as well as, people that are nationals from other countries. We, at the department, do accept an ID from Mexico and things like that. I'm a little familiar with Oakland's project. The person actually started it program's been going on for like 20 years or something like that. It is a little bit cost prohibitive. I think they charge folks that want the card, but it doesn't cover the entire project or entire program. It's equivalent of maybe hiring one person. That's the cost of the program. This is directly from Oakland. So there are some costs. The one thing, they're positive and negative. You know, you're able to provide probably a homeless person with an ID. But on the other side, they're not accepted. They're not readily accepted. The only people that accept them are people that deal with Oakland. And so if you go to another area outside the region, it's an option whether they're accepted as a valid ID or not. So most of the time they're pertinent and a benefit to the folks that live in Oakland that use the Oakland resources.
One of the questions I have, would it be confidential? You know, this may be something legal can answer. If Homeland Security wanted a list, you know, what would be our legality to provide that list to a federal government, since we are a government entity also? And then the other question is, and just being law enforcement too, is how do we know the person bringing in that paperwork is the actual person, you know, that's saying who they are? That's the only things I could see.
Yeah, as Councilmember McCabe addressed, they do have, they can do it within the city, and they can also contract with a company to do it. Oakland started the program, but it's actually, it's a contract company that works for the city. And so, you know, city attorney might be able to address that, you know, being a private entity versus a public entity. As far as ID, they require multiple items, you know, anything, and then they do use bills and things like that. But one of the things that they talked about was people that just get out of prison can actually use their some of the paperwork that shows that they were just released from prison, and with they require at least two pieces of identification, and so they do try to vet out the person to ensure that they are who they say they are. And
Councilmember, do those cards at Oakland and other schools, do they take a fingerprint also on them?
I'm not certain.
You know, Chief, if Oakland?
I believe they do. I believe they do take a fingerprint.
And Mayor, if I may, just to kind of add a little more, I've just been looking at the Oakland, the way it happens, you also have a municipal code section which sets out what the requirements are in the applications, et cetera. And the conversation, I mean, just looking at the website is exactly right regarding who gets them. You are required to have a proof of identity. And what the city does is they do allow several different documents to be that proof of identity. You also have to have a proof of residency, and again, they allow several ways to show that. And then they of course have fees, and just mention that the city shall charge a fee for each application submitted, and the fees cannot exceed the reasonable associated cost of that, and that is set by council, kind of like what you said, other fees as well, that ends up getting set. They would also have kind of a criteria of who can accept, or who accepts it, who's in the city, as far as the government. Obviously, they would work for City Hall. I know that in reading articles about this, they're also meant to serve in the local community, like the restaurants, or to serve as potential discounts or whatnot, but having proof of identity. But the municipal code, again, just opening up Oakland, they have their program is set forth in their municipal codes, just like the chief and councilman McCabe.
Do they ask for life scan or anything?
No, I don't believe they asked for that. I've just kind of been reading this quickly. I don't think they asked for the life scan or anything like that. We, of course, if council decided, we'd be doing more research on that topic.
And one of the things about the fees, I know in Oakland they charge, if you're under 18 and over 65, it's a reduced fee. If you're between 18 and 65, then it's, I don't remember what it is, it's like $30, $40, something like that.
Over
Or it's just giving a discount, yeah.
I think at least it's worth having the staff look into and bring back some of the questions that we asked before we move forward to do anything at all, you know. And also, and Leva can answer, Oakland's obviously a charter city. Does it matter how charter cities and general law cities operate as far as the dedications?
We'll of course double check that. I know that Oakland, a lot of the bigger cities, San Diego, San Francisco, they're all charter. But I think that this is just implementing. We'll take a look at that, of course. But just implementing an ID, it's not meant to replace any state document or any state ID or anything like that. It's just a supplemental ID, which is used more locally and. As Councilmember McCabe was mentioning, hopefully another piece of document if they were going to get a driver's license or something like that with the state.
So it looks like we have comment from Vice Mayor to look into some of the questions that were posed and bring it back to council to see what,
But in general, if you can look, if staff can look into the pros and cons and see what the negatives or drawbacks were in other areas, I'd like to.
would it be possible, you mentioned a few cities, but maybe provide that to staff, what cities you know of, so that they might be able to check with those cities?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to item 13, discussion, and that's surplusing city fire truck. And that'll be Councilmember McCabe.
Yeah, I think it was the last time Ron did his presentation, we talked about the fire truck that's in the first bay and it's not actively used. I want to bring it to council, discuss potentially if we did deem that one to be surplus and the fire department deemed it to be surplus or something, we can move on and provide more space in our fire department. Possibly donate it to one of our sister cities. I know that there is a major need in both Zapatanejo and the city of Talos to have vehicles of this nature if we're not using it. I would like us to look into donate it to one of our sister programs.
Yeah, I think there should be a discussion, including the fire chief, definitely. I know if the city could benefit from the vehicle, for example, another department.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my concerns, and thank you for bringing it up, is I don't know if that truck is being used now. Is that our emergency backup? Man, somebody answer that. If it's our emergency backup, then, can we do without it, or, I don't mind taking care of others, but we gotta take care of home first.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. So currently the Squad 96 is, it's in service. It just doesn't get used often. Usually during football season, the volunteers will take it to some of the football games and have it stand by there. We're putting a lot of time and money into maintaining it, keeping it up to operational. But it's old and it's equated, and it doesn't really meet the intent of initially. So we don't run a lot of squads in the county anymore, nor in the city. We'll typically use just the engines, because it doesn't carry water. So that's one of the main concerns with using the squad as a first out piece of apparatus. When it responds to medical aids or vehicle accidents, it can also get dispatched to a vegetation fire or a structure fire, and it's not capable of meeting those needs.
Okay, and then another question, Councilmember Juan said, is if that can be sold and benefit the police department, is that worth it? And also, This may be a legal question for city, or are we allowed to give away equipment that's a public equipment, or does it have to go to surplus and auctioned off?
Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Council.
So your municipal code does have a provision regarding surplus property. How normally you do get, I guess, dispose of surplus property is set out. Usually it's a public auction, sale to the highest bidder after advertisement, assignment to a new department by property transfer. There's also provisions regarding scrap material designated as surplus. I think what's being discussed here and looking at this more is not as much following through and declaring it surplus, but more of following through and deciding to donate. There are provisions in the law of showing kind of what the public interest is in order to donate. If the city did go down that route, what cities end up doing, they have a very strong record of what's the public interest, what's the public good of donating something. In this case, many cities have donated such equipment to cities in other countries. But again, it wouldn't be a surplus, because you're right, Mayor Pro Tem, the municipal code does have specific sections on surplus property. Mostly we get disposed of that property through auction. This would be more of through a donation process.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question is we had actually done it some years ago. Where we wanted to donate, and we were told that that would be a different thing and we were not going to do it. So we were going to legal and we said we can't do that. So we're not going to get hopefully get specific change, or, in the end, we'll probably get a decision from the fire department or others to see if they have it ever used for it or not. And something I think we need to definitely
As our fire chief stated, it is still in service. It's not used often, but it is being used. Maybe a discussion later. I know we've talked about having a new piece of equipment there in the future. So maybe when that gets replaced, we can have that discussion regarding either selling it or having another department take it, or see what would benefit the city more the most.
Chief, off the top of your head, do you know the cost to keep it maintained approximately? Don't have to be exact.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay.
'Cause we take into account insurance, we're paying insurance on it, and then just it's monthly, quarterly, and annual services. So at the top of my head, to give you a figure, I'd have to get back to you with that.
Yeah, so even if it's not being used as much, just for safety reasons, it still has to be maintained, oil change, tires, and...
Either 90-day compliance on it, then we do an annual B-service and C-service, where annually it goes through and gets maintenance on it, even if it doesn't roll anything but 5 miles.
All that cost.
We do those services on it. And then we're still paying insurance on it as well.
All right, Chief, thank you. I know a few years ago when I was not sure about how the city of Livingston, I think, sold or surplus, they got part of the police unit where they came in. Yeah, I think it was. So I'd like to see if, we can, I'm for, again, helping other places, maybe we could help locally first, to see if anyone else.
Yeah, I don't know if the public works can use it or somebody else, so
Who would bear the cost of if it was to go to another country? Who would bear the cost of transportation? Would they bear the cost?
I think Juan and I would do it. We just split the gas and drive it on over. I mean, here's the thing is that we have to remember as a community is we have a lot of our members who are our citizens who live abroad 1 to 2 months out of the year. And so both of our sister cities have a large population from Livingston. So even though it may be in a different country, it's still looking out for our local population when they are visiting their families during Christmas months or other months. I don't find it to be something where we're not continuing to help the general public good of Livingston, knowing that we have large populations in both of those areas and know there's a need for public safety there. I think it's just us reaching out our arms a little further to our sister cities and recognizing that we have community members who reside there part of the year, and it's an opportunity for us to do good for the public when they're here and when they're abroad.
All right, well, that's the questions I have, just the cost if it was to go to another country, what, you know.
I already talked to the port, and so they'll let us cross. We just have to give a documentation showing that this city we're giving it to has accepted the gift. And so if they will accept the gift, then we can just drive it over to them.
All right, and then also, just like Vice Mayor mentioned, maybe we could see if other departments could use it, you know, before we do that, and,
Yep.
you know, I'm not sure, it's probably 8 cylinders, at diesel, so.
I just want to make sure that if we're going to move forward with this, we have a plan for its replacement. You know, before we have discussions of handing it over to a different department or selling it or donating it. So I know it's just a discussion, but if, you know, maybe this discussion needs to be taking place at a later time.
What were the cities you guys were looking at?
So, Zapatanejo and Hellas, or Hellas Zapopan.
So we would reach out to them, or, I mean, how would that?
I mean, just in general, because of our sister city relationships. Arturo and I were both over there 2 years ago now.
About 2 years.
And then I was in,
And-
with Supervisor Espinosa, and I were over and Tony were over in Howells last
Okay.
year.
And we become sister cities with those?
We developed
Yeah.
relationships with them.
But not-
Now they're not recognized by the International Association, but we have informally become sister cities with those two locations.
Okay, that's,
I guess at that point, we would have to check what it does and first check what we need, our needs here in the city, or outsource it here. If not, that doesn't work, so.
can we give staff direction to see what the value of it is?
Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea, and also, I believe at one time the fire department had mentioned to us about a vegetation truck cost about so many dollars. You know, maybe, like, fireman Edward or Councilman Brown, which one you want to give him, but he's absolutely right. You know, if you have a replacement, it makes the decision a little easier. You know. And I don't know, what was the cost for that truck that you mentioned one time?
So I believe the truck that you're referring to is the Type 6. And it ranges, we can go anywhere from 110,000 to 210,000, just kind of varies on the build-up, you know, how we outfit it and its capabilities. Like I said, I support Councilmember McCabe's request, but one thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to lessen our services that we provide into the city. So I would think once we get to that point to where we can replace it, then that will be ideal. But I don't think right now is the ideal time until we can get to that.
Chief,
road.
would counties or bigger cities, entities benefit more than us being a middle-sized city? Would they utilize that more in a bigger city?
The
like the squad, yeah.
You know, I guess it just depends on what their
needs,
what their needs are and what they're looking to do with it. And I think that's it can be tailored to each entity or each city differently.
I think that smaller volunteer companies probably could benefit more from that. Usually cities don't have that kind of support vehicle.
So maybe we could benefit if we sell it and then put that towards
another.
You want to have the other one funded first before you sell it.
Yeah.
You can offset a little bit, you know.
Right.
You don't want to sell it and then say, oh.
Right.
I guess at this point, let's find a replacement truck, and I guess we'll bring it back.
Let me open up for public comment at 9:19. No public comment? Okay. So we have some direction on tabling it. And I do not see anything else, so we are adjourned. Thank you very much.